scary part.
Well, let's be frank. And one of the reasons I came on your show is because I'm going to say some things that some people have been thinking, and I'm going to say it here. This is not about the gun. It was not about the guns. It was not about any threats made to anyone, because they were felt so threatened. They had multiple opportunities to apprehend me because I had been back there many times. Yeah, I even participated in the police chief's inauguration and spoke at it. So if I was such a threat, they could have grabbed me then. Now, this is something bigger. This all started when I began to unpack a series that I was teaching on the destruction of black civilization by Chancellor Williams. And when I got into the portion about what we call the mind transplant, what has happened to a lot of us as black people is that our minds, in the mind transplant, you don't have your own mind anymore. You've been indoctrinated to the work of the master. You've been indoctrinated to think like the master. You've been indoctrinated to oppress your own people. You've been indoctrinated to hate your own people, not trust your own people. This is a mind transplant that he talks about in his book. Within hours of me doing that teaching, that was when they sent the assault team in to get me, because they didn't want the guns. They wanted me to shut up, because this would wake up everyone. You can't talk about liberation of us as a people until you first liberate our minds first. So when I hear people sit around and lament over, there are people, our own people are doing it. No, those are the ones that the transplant has taken. And if we cannot reverse it, then we find ourselves in the same situation that they did in the Haitian Revolution. I've said this before. But to do an exegetical study on a book that actually opens the eyes of the black people, coming from the same person that is organizing an organized militia of black people, the same person that's talking about filing liberation papers on behalf of the black nation, the same person that still hasn't broken any laws while doing it, is a threat that the United States government cannot ignore anymore. It's not a threat to us, it's a threat to them, because it causes them to deal with their ugly past, and it causes them to either level the playing field, which is something they don't want to do. Their playbook doesn't change, folks. It's the same playbook, divide and conquer.
Mississippi outlaw. There's two young men that went missing on the Mississippi River. They went to go scout for duck hunting. I think it was Thursday.
I'm hoping that's not the case, because everything that you just said about the power that we wield, if you let them kill this movement, if you let them put me away, if you let them destroy this movement, you'll never get this opportunity again. And they're all taking legislative steps to make sure you don't do it. So this is our moment as a people to stand together and end this. Or, on the other hand, if you're not of the black persuasion and you just happen to be tuned in being nosy, what they're going to do is apply this to you too. You see, your incoming president just put forth a platform that would technically make it so expensive to own the type of weaponry that we have that you wouldn't be able to own one. That's not going to apply to them. That buyback program is going to apply to everybody. That $200 tax on high capacity magazines will apply to everybody. It's not going to be drawn along the color lines. You cannot control a people until you disarm them. And they are now going to disarm you all. But they first had to take us out, because the black militia is a completely new animal they've never seen. And remember what J. Edgar Hoover said: America's worst nightmare is black unity. And he said, and I quote, never allow a black male charismatic enough to energize the black nationalist movement, because if you do, there'll be no stopping it. And we've started it. It started. So that's why they've got to do some drastic things to shut it down. So the situation that I'm in, which incidentally occurred on the anniversary of Fred Hampton's assassination, in the same fashion. The only difference was I didn't go out in a blaze of glory, which is what they thought, which is what they want to depict. That's what they want you all to think. I'm not that kind of person. I'm highly intelligent. So why would I go out in a blaze of glory when that's something I could have done a long time ago? That's not my goal, and that's not my methodology. That's not the methodology of the NFAC, and that is not the methodology of the Kemetic Black Nation. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to be free. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be treated as an equal human being. There's nothing wrong with having the right to defend oneself. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you were wrong with what you did to us. There's nothing wrong with it. But there is a certain group of people out there that are so afraid to deal with the ugly past that their ancestors created. There are some people out there that are so comfortable standing over top of other people at their expense. There are some people out there that are so hatred-filled because of something that they think, not what they know, that they would rather lose everything than to carve up the little bit they have and share it with everybody else. And that is the tragedy of our society today. And that is why I find myself in the situation that I'm in right now.
Peace and Black Power, brother.
Black Power.
This is Tavares Swafford out of Alexandria, Louisiana. So we attended, as she said, we attended the rally in Lafayette, and the incident where those two bangs went off, that was shortly before you guys got there. That was a very telling story of the dialogue of what they were trying to draw out, is that this was going to be non-peaceful. That was the okay for them to come in and usher away a black man at a black rally for, I guess they presumed that he had shot something or he was a part of it. But what I want to say, brother, is that you bring so much energy and so much power to this Black Power movement that this is the price you pay for being a revolutionary, and the price of being a revolutionary is not cheap, and you can't pay it off in cash. And the thing about it is that no matter what happens, the movement has started, the revolution has started, and it wasn't televised. Just like he said, it wasn't televised. So I want to say we appreciate you.
Let me thank you, my brother. Thank you, and let me respond to that. And I'm so glad you said those things. You know, when I was growing up, I used to, read about all the civil rights heroes and how they were all taken out. And then I always wondered why, after they took them out, someone didn't just jump in and take their place and keep it moving. And then I used to look at people who had survived those times, how weary they were, and how they were happy with the accomplishments that they had got. But I used to always say to myself, and you could look in folks' face, and they would always say, "But if we had another chance, we got one more person like that, we would do it right." That's what you hear people say. "Man, if I had been alive then, I would have done this." That's what you hear people say. "Oh, if they couldn't have never done that to me back then." You hear people say that all the time. The tragedy in all of this is it's happening again. The exact same, just because the technology has improved doesn't mean that people have improved. Some of us are no different than the people who walked the streets in 1955. Some of us are no different than the people who walked off the plantations in 1865. Some of us have not shifted anywhere mentally, spiritually, or sociologically. So what's happening again is only happening because the conditions just prove to be right. I myself being just one of many examples of people who have stepped forward. The only difference is, as you said before, I didn't just talk about it. I started walking about it. I didn't just walk about it. I started building on it and expanding on it, and other people have taken that idea. But the thing I want to point out to all of you is this, and I've said this many times: nothing is happening that I didn't predict. I told you all this would happen. I wasn't surprised that it happened. I was surprised at how flimsy the case they brought, how pathetic and openly pathetic it is, that you would really have to be an idiot to sit there for 2 seconds and think, "Oh yeah, that's the way it is. That's what happened." And people are looking at you like, "That's what y'all came up with? That's the best thing y'all could come up with?" Okay. You want to play the game? Let's play the game. But what's not going to happen is you're not about to chop the head off again and we walk around like a headless zombie for the next 60 years. Because I have not inspired clones. I've inspired new leaders. I planted seeds for children, I planted seeds. In the college kids, I planted seeds. In the middle age. And I've even planted seeds in some folks that are on their way to glory already. So the bottom line is, I look back at that time and I say this to everybody listening. You know, whatever it is that you claim that you would have done back then, you have the opportunity to do it right now. And if you're not doing anything right now, then that's exactly what you would have done back then. This is not the time for us to sit back and spectate. This ain't the time to sit back and wonder about what's going to happen just with me. I told y'all that I wouldn't be with you long. I told you that I would be gone soon. Hell, I'm still here alive with you, so you got a bonus. Or you could find yourselves with another martyr on your hands and no progress. We are financially equipped. We are educated. We are armed. Black people everywhere. And all we got to do is get over ourselves and just be black. And that still has not happened. It is pathetic that a white boy can go up to Wisconsin and kill two, three people. White folks got together because they unified, put $2 million together for this murderer, and he got out. And he walking around, and they talking about teaching them college courses and just lifting them up. Black folks, you want to get in the street and march and do all kind of these strange things, wave signs and ring rainbows and the third, for people that have been killed previously. But you don't feel the same about people that are still alive, that are under pressure, that are being attacked by your government because they stood up for you. You rather sit back and see if they'll survive the process. That's a backwards way of thinking, because that means that you only value death. And we have got to shift our paradigm and begin to value life and the continuousness of our race. And stop sitting around and waiting for somebody else to help us. No one is coming to help us. No one. Y'all need to wake up to that. And they're loving watching us fight each other. They're loving watching us do the dirty work for them. They're loving it. What scared them was for 2 seconds, they really thought that we all were on code. And my arrest has demonstrated that we are anything but on code right now. There are still some people who swear up and down that none of this is real. There are people sitting around right now thinking that this is some government operation to trick a bunch of people who don't own anything already, that they're going to lose some. You don't own anything. You're not free yet. You live under somebody else's rule. You're controlled by somebody else's laws. They tell you when the laws are applicable to you. You're not free. The bottom line here, folks, is that, and I love all of you, and I will continue to love you until they put me in the ground,
right?
Is that they cannot break that which is unbreakable. Those people who are tuned in from all over the world that got this message this morning that I would be appearing here with these good folks right here, understand that they are attempting to put out your fire once and for all. They don't want to live the 60s again because they figured that they had already put a magic trick on you already, that you were asleep again. And now they want you to go back to sleep. So it's the same old game plan. Destroy someone's image, destroy their character, and then when the people stop following them, destroy them physically. And then you all then have no choice but to be at the mercy of the master. It's the same game.
Right now, you're listening to the voice of Grandmaster Jay here on Kiee 88.3 FM and 94.9 FM here in Lafayette and Opelousas. Grandmaster Jay, Brother Jay here again. One of the things when you guys made the appearance a couple of months, a month ago in the Lafayette area, you brought out a great following, a great crowd turnout. It was very peaceful. Very well noted by the local media that you guys' appearance, and then mainstream media like CNN or others have picked you up. And have you since then made a great connection to the audience of South Louisiana?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the response from all the good folks in all across Louisiana has been phenomenal. I mean, the outpouring of love, support, and the inspiration that folks have communicated to us that, listen, You guys woke up something in me that had been dormant for a while. There are people down there who have forming their own chapters. There's a lot going on in Louisiana. As a matter of fact, there are some other elements within South Louisiana that have stepped forward to say, we're in alignment with you and your movement. And yes, the response has been all positive. It's been all love, and that was since October 3rd until now.
And this was born out of the issue surrounding the unfortunate death of a young man, Trayford Pellerin, that started the movement, and some other issues with certain people making statements, prominent people making somewhat negative statements towards groups such as what you guys do. And again, like I said, we're not trying to go down there and talk about any particular case, but the number of young black males who are being shot down, or even going back to Sister Breonna Taylor, is troubling. We had one in Columbus, Ohio this past week, and we have so many. And one of the things that people are looking for answers, how do we stop these situations from occurring over and over again?
Let us examine something right here very quickly. Everywhere that the NFAC has appeared, there have been no run-ins with the police. Mm-hmm. Everywhere the NFAC has appeared, the people have not had any run-ins with the police. Everywhere that the NFAC has manifested itself, we see a different face of law enforcement. We don't see the people who are in fear of their life and needed to shoot someone. The reason we don't see that goes right back to the very reason that they came after me, is because when you meet equal power with equal power, it is smart to play your position. But whenever you have power over individuals, you have a tendency to exercise that power at will based on your perception of those people. For so many centuries, we were thingified. We were not people. We were looked at as things. We were looked at as property. We were looked at as pets. We were looked at as assets. We were never looked at as people. Though they may have passed some laws that they made up and said that you have these rights and you have those rights, they still never said you are a person. And there are a lot of people, especially in law enforcement, who look at us as things. They look at us as if they're zookeepers and they're managing these animals that can walk and talk. And when they act up, they shoot them. I think that we need to stop separating each one of these tragic killings as a separate incident. It is indicative of a pattern. It is indicative of an institution, and it is indicative of a culture that continues to see brown and black bodies as things, like a well-trained dog, that if it gets out of hand, the best result is just put it down. So it's not going to stop unless we begin to do what we started doing, which was manifesting ourselves in a configuration that they had to stop and think twice about. You see, I'm going to be honest with you, and I can share this part on your call because it's a fact. If they wanted to, they very well could have come into my home and started shooting like they did in the 60s and killed me, and it would have been their version of the story. Oh, he was reaching for a gun. Mm-hmm. Or they could have come into my home and said that, oh, he killed himself. They could have said anything they wanted. But these people were intelligent enough, and they have observed me enough to understand that if you run up in there, we've seen what he has, and we know his attitude. We know what he said. If we try to take him, he's not going to go by himself. They knew that. So they did not attempt to approach power like that. I was not arrested by the police. I was arrested by a military assault team, full military, because that was the level that they realized that they needed to come get me. Wow. I have no problem telling all your viewers, I woke up to a drone hovering over my head in my bedroom. A drone, not a person. And to a voice that was not in my home, that was outside over a loudspeaker, because they knew who they were coming to get. And they knew that the level of firepower that I had would be equal to or greater than what they had. And I give you that example to say this. The way that you stop the killings is that if black people legally arm themselves, in all instances, notice I underline the word legally, you would see the number of killings drop dramatically, because there has not been one incident that the NFAC has ever appeared at where we had a problem with the police, which is why these charges are so laughable. People criticize us for working along with the police because we get permits. No, we don't want to give them an excuse to have a run-in with us. That's all it is. Then you think we would turn around and threaten them? We would look stupid? That doesn't make sense. But we'll let that play out in court. The bottom line is that answers your question. When we begin to arm ourselves responsibly and exercise our Second Amendment rights, and in certain states stand our ground, then you'll find out that you'll be handled differently by law enforcement.
Indeed, brother, indeed. And again, I want to say this. I was watching a roundtable discussion from 1973, and there was a lot of black powerful people at that roundtable. One of the things they said is that abuse of power by law enforcement was always government sanctioned. And that tells a lot to what's going on in our black communities across America, is that it's not just isolated, as you said, it's all connected. These are government sanctioned ideologies that get spread across these. The largest organization that exists is the police union. That what is it? The fraternity, the fraternal police order. That is an easy way to say that there's a large network of law enforcement that feel it is their right, their God-given privilege to rule over black communities. And when you start talking about things like what the Revolutionary Black Panther Party talk about, community policing, you get people giving pushback because they think that we're not good enough to police ourselves. We're not smart enough to police ourselves. We're not intelligent. We still got some slave-minded people that are living on this plantation in their head. It's like a vacation for them. They've just lived there. And
well, the reason for that is very obvious, my friend. In his book, Brainwash, Tom Burrell stipulates that a lot of us are still enslaved mentally. But you have to remember this also. It was Chancellor Williams who said that the greatest conquest was not the taking of the land in Africa. It was not the removal of the riches from Africa. It was not even the enslaving of the people of Africa and other places. It was the conquest of their minds. Once the minds were conquered, the rest fell into place. And to this day, many of us are still conquered mentally. Those are the slave-minded people you talk about. Those are the people who have inherited generational indoctrination into this particular society, where they actually believe that there's superiority in these other creatures. However, that's a lie. And as long as you believe it, it will continue to be your reality. What we did was woke those folks up. Some of them, but not all of them. And it is a sad testament that the people who don't even know where they came from, don't really know their names, have had their culture hidden from them, have been lied to about from everything from where they came from to who they should believe in. That now all of a sudden when they try to wake up from their sleep, they don't even know what it looks like to be awake because they've never been awake before. So what do? They go back to that which is comfortable. They go back to the mental plantation.
And I want to say this to the listening audience. A large part of Louisiana is plantation. The communities that you live in, especially in Alexandria, we literally have areas in Alexandria called quarters. Majority of the most prominent properties and most enriched properties in our city are plantations. they preserve a place called the Kent House Plantation, and it's right across the street from an impoverished neighborhood, yet that has historical reference and historical reverence, and they sink boatloads of money into preserving a plantation while they're killing people right across the street. And if you don't think...
You have to understand something. You only looked at half the picture, my friend. The maintaining of the plantation and the killing of the people across the street is also maintaining the plantation.
Wow. That's deep. I like that.
Understand that for 2 seconds. There's a place in South Carolina called Littleman's Place. Anyone that's been down to Charleston knows what I'm talking about. It is a fully functioning plantation where you can take a tour and show everybody how things used to be. Why would you want to do something like this? Because you said it yourself. You said the preservation of his historical record. Let's exegete that real quick for all my listeners who don't get facts over feelings anymore or morning. Then we'll sneak one in real quick. Slide this on you. You see, when you start talking about his story, well, then first we have to understand who he is. He is the person that enslaved you. So this is his story. He's the conqueror. He won the fight. This is his version. The loser did not get a chance to write anything. As a matter of fact, your conqueror will tell you when you're allowed to accomplish something. He'll call you the first. When the truth of the matter is you're not. You're just the first one he allowed after he kicked your butt. Okay? The historical record, I don't want to hear about his story anymore. There should be some our historical records. There should be some our historical markers. There should be some our historical events. Our story is never lifted up. Why would you not do that? Well, let me educate everybody listening. Because the way that you destroy a cultural's esteem is you destroy their pride and their knowledge in anything they've done. When you have nothing to be proud of, you have no reason to hold your head up. You have no reason to think that you're worth anything. So that's why they don't let you remember what you did. They don't talk about dates that are important to your culture. They don't lift up people who are important to you, because the only thing they want you to do is not feel bad about what they've done to you. So please, if y'all don't mind, help us celebrate our people. Help us celebrate our holidays. Come on, y'all worship our statues. Matter of fact, don't worry. Anything that y'all do that's better for us, we'll just take that and say it's ours too, because we're culture vultures. At the end of the day, if I can get started, don't get me started. Listen, this whole thing about historical records, no, they need to tear that down. And what they need to do is rewrite the story. It doesn't need to be historical. It doesn't really need to be our historical. It just needs to be the story. The story ain't pleasant. It's got some ups and some downs. It's got some villains in, but most importantly, it has victims. And the victims are never given a chance to tell their side of the story. As a matter of fact, ain't even been told, look, we're sorry for what we did. The victims are still sitting there getting victimized, while the people who did it to you are reminiscing of days gone by of what they did to you. I rest my faith.
That's super deep. The most important thing I just took out of what you said is that their control of the narrative. That controlling of the narrative has played such a major role in the oppression. This is organized. If you guys don't understand what we're talking about organized oppression.
Correct.
And the fact that it still exists to this day is a testament to how powerful it is to take somebody's mind from them. And like the brother said,
let's look at this. Let's look at what you just said. That's correct. However, anyone that challenges, not threatens, but actually challenges the existence of the status quo, those folks who are the gatekeepers, those people who sit in the power seats, when they take notice of that, they will say, no, we cannot allow this to happen anymore. We must shut this down. Only if you're a credible threat to the status quo. They don't mind y'all talking about it. They don't mind y'all feeling bad about it. They don't even mind if y'all decide to point out some things we might have forgot. But what they don't want you to do is to organize and respond to it.
That's right.
On all levels, not just on a militant level, but on a sociological level, on an educational level, on a financial level, but most importantly, on a political power level.
That's right.
The last thing they want you to do is for black folks to come together and say, look at here, we got a list of demands. Top 5 things that are important to black folks. We need y'all, whoever we going to vote for, whoever's going to get our votes that we've been giving away for free, whoever's going to get our money that we love to give to everybody but each other. Before we wield that power recklessly again, whoever we give it to, you have to guarantee you're going to do these 5 things for our rate. You see, they're afraid of that. Because if we take back our political support, take back our financial support, and turn it internal, we will become the 6th largest nation on earth. 57 million of us sitting in this country right now are larger than 120 some odd countries that exist outside of the United States. We are a nation within a nation. And they don't want you to realize that. And they don't want you to act on it. So these pockets of independence that they see standing up didn't bother them. We're continuing to think that every shooting, like the Pellerin shooting, was a separated incident in our town. They want you to think that. What they don't want you to do is think as a national collective. What they don't want you to do is start thinking that the killings are not one killing, but a killing machine. They don't want you to think that, because then you'll have a collective response. Then we'll all be on code, and then they know they have a problem. And right now, you're watching that happen right in front of your face. What's happening with me is a direct response to the U.S. government perceiving that we're starting to get on code.
Brother Grandmaster, what would you have the Lafayette, let's say, I'm not going to say fans, I'm going to say supporters, all the brothers and sisters, the hundreds, maybe the thousands that came out and supported you in Louisiana when you made that appearance a couple of months ago. What would you have them do in support of your present situation?
2 things. And it's very interesting that we as a people don't do this automatically without being told, but I don't have a problem pointing it out. The first thing we have to do is get over this, and I hate to use the word selfish, but there's no other word that fits. To get over this selfish self-perspective that we have of ourselves as individuals. Individualism has killed the black race. Everyone thinks only about themselves. We don't think like we used to. We're not unified like we used to be. We're even worse off than we were 60 years ago when it comes to unity. First thing we've got to do is realize that we have a problem. Not that I have a problem. We have a problem. Because we is how I got into this. We have a problem. And the first thing that we have to do is collectively, you all are going to have to collectively say to yourselves, along with all the other folks across the country and around the world, this is not just a United States issue. This has global attention. The very first thing is that we're not going to let this happen. We're going to fight this collectively as a people, even if we have to dedicate our money to do it. And there's the key word. You see, they were very smart. They gave me 2 cases, a federal case and a state case at the same time, which means I'm going to have to fight a 2-front war. And you all know what this boils down to, money. There's a GoFundMe that was started by someone that's up to now about $100,000. But that's a drop in the bucket for the legal fees that it would take for me to effectively beat this case, which would set a precedent in U.S. history, and it would put the Black Power movement firmly on course for some further results. It wouldn't kill it. You all are going to have to pull out your pockets on this. I'm going to be blunt. Not just folks in Louisiana, but everybody listening to my voice. Stop sitting on the sidelines letting them tell you that, oh, he's free and everything's okay. No, I'm not. I'm on house arrest. I'm technically not sitting in a box right now. But other than that, I'm still a prisoner of the system. A political prisoner, if you'll call it that. We need financial support. The GoFundMe link I've already communicated to the station. You can share that with them. Yes. The other thing is this, and this is the part that's probably really going to, here's the call to action. We can get in the streets. We can march. And we can bring awareness when they kill one of us. And we do a great job at that. Yet people need to be in the streets about this. You need to be in the streets about what they've done to your black movement. You need to be in the streets about what they've done to your only legal black militia that was actually making a difference. You need to be in the streets because of the fact that if they'll do it to us, they'll do it to you. And they don't do it to these white boys. They don't went around and pointed guns right at officers. They've gone in and took over state houses. They've done stuff that if we pulled that, it would have been a wrap. And all y'all sitting around talking about he shined a flashlight, so all this is happening. And y'all sitting back not saying nothing. They're not looking at me. They're looking at what you all are doing. They're saying, oh, these people want you to fight back. So no. Y'all should be in the street organizing a protest. Y'all should be on the phone calling the Department of Justice and saying this is BS and those charges are trumped up and they need to go away. You need to be talking to your congressmen, your senators. You need to be going to the U.S. embassies in different countries, which they already talking about doing. In other words, y'all really shouldn't be having to ask me what to do because you've done it so well for so many others. So what's the difference now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, we are firmly behind you, brother, in Alexandria. We have organized and we do look forward to.
Let me finish, please. Let me say this on your show.
Okay.
Don't y'all wait until they put me in a box and come back and tell you a story that I killed myself. Now y'all want to get in the streets and be upset. You remember I said this on this broadcast. I have no intentions of killing myself. I have no intentions of doing anything to me. So don't y'all wait until that happens to sit back like, oh, that's horrible what they did to Jay. When you still got Jay here on the phone talking to you. If Malcolm X or Martin Luther King were still alive and they put them in jail, y'all would turn the jail down to get them out. Yet y'all sitting back spectating on the most significant black movement in the last 60 years. We need all kind of help, monetarily, protesting, raising awareness. You know, some black people don't even know what happened. Yeah. Clueless. That's all I got to say.
All right, great. All right, brother. All right, you certainly brought the info to Lafayette, and we appreciate you here in the Lafayette area. We would have never done it for anybody else but you, Grandmaster Jay, and your movement. The movement is always bigger than everybody else.
Yes, sir. Well, let me say this to the people of Lafayette and Southern Louisiana. I love all you. I really do. I really wish I could thank you for your dedication and your determination and everything that happened. Even when they tried to pull a little stunt to shut it down, still didn't stop your determination. It didn't stunt your spirit. They try to scare us with fear. Fear doesn't work anymore. We're not afraid. And I think that some of the folks down in Lafayette, especially shout out to my man Laverne Thomas, people like that came forward to actually spearhead this whole thing, Sweepers for the Rich out of Shreveport, and a few other folks, all the members of the NFAC and all of the folks that came out in Lafayette that stood there and actually stood there, got the word and went and acted on it. I salute all of you all. I'm still with you. That's because they put me in a cage. They can lock up my body, but my mind is free as a. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't think anybody paid attention that when they took that picture of me, my shirt says freedom is a state of mind. Understand what I'm saying? So, because they were just locking up the body, which will pass away. At the end of the day, I just wanted to say that I hope to see y'all again real soon. If I get out of this, you already know that this is probably going to be, that the rallies will be bigger, that the marches will be, and that the celebration will be well earned at this juncture. Now we can get back to the business of liberating all of us everywhere, including my brothers and sisters down in Lafayette and all across Louisiana. I bid you all peace and shalom. Pray for me. Stay with me. Don't let them tell you nothing about me that you know ain't true. And I need y'all to hit that GoFundMe. The goal is $1 million. We're only at 100,000 right now, but Kyle Rittenhouse got 2 million overnight from white folks. See, white folks stick together even when they're wrong. Black folks, we pick and choose.
Yes.
And that's why we are in the situation and the shoes we're in right now. But I love all y'all.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, brother.
Thank you,
brother.
Thank you so much for being on Kiee.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Yeah, you just heard it or exclusive interview on Kiee 88.3, along with Sister Khadija, Sister Rashonda, Queen and Zinger, and our sister station in Alexandria, Universal Collective Network, Sister Salita McCall and Brother Tavares Swafford. That name just rolled off my tongue so easily, man.
Oh, man, you're doing just this. Man, I'm over the. Y'all have no idea. If you guys ain't never been just floored. I'm floored right now. Yes. I'm floored. Yes. I'm speechless.
And I want to apologize to the callers. One of the stipulations, we were not going to take phone calls when we got that exclusive interview. And this is what we want to do on this station. We want to bring a balance. You heard us all last week. We had members of law enforcement doing interviews with the city marshal candidate. So you can't say it's a one-sided thing. We talk about progressive community issues, but we also deal with the real stuff, city government. We had a bunch of guests on representing all different aspects of life on this station and this show. And again, being inspired by Sister Khadija and Sister Salita. Wow. I'm just saying that because they might have an apple pie for me. Maybe
she brought a pecan pie with her.
Yes.
We got to keep him on his toes, you guys.
Yeah, and we're gonna make way for that hot reggae show. We're gonna sign off a little earlier. Brother Herbert Jasmine coming on soon. And again, we apologize for having those technical difficulties. We apologize for not taking the phone calls in this segment, but we want to get this out. We had an exclusive interview only on Kiee 88.3 FM.
Awesome. Thank you, guys, again. Thank you.